Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sneha, and today we're going to talk about multi-chrome pigments or eyeshadows and how to best apply them. So if that's something that interests you, please continue watching. Now so far I've tried 3 different formulas of multi-chromes. The first 2 that I tried were from the brand Sydney Grace, and this is what they look like. And I do have a dedicated video with these and other Sydney Grace eyeshadows, which I'll link right here on the screen. So this shade right here is Chameleonaire, and this one I believe is Pure Guard. And these retail for $15 each and contain 1.8 grams. And amongst all the different formulas I've tried, this is probably my least favorite. Although they are beautiful and extremely reflective, probably the most reflective out of the 3 that I'm going to talk about. They do not show as much shift on the eyelids. The maximum that I see personally is 2 shades per eyeshadow, if that makes sense. So if you're in the market for something very reflective and metallic and you don't care for getting more shift than 2 shades, then definitely give these a try. I will be posting a swatch at the end so you can see all the shades together. The second formula that I was exposed to in terms of multi-chrome was with the recent Pat McGrath palette. So this is the shade Sexoterrestrial right here, which is absolutely stunning. So if I turn it right here, you can see that in the mirror with the reflection it's more green, whereas here it's more golden pink, and then comes to a nice vibrant pink here. And in the pan you do get 1.32 grams of product. So this is a much more smoother formula compared to the Sydney Grace. It's not as reflective, and it comes again in a similar format, so press format. But the only con with this is that you cannot get just the multi-chrome. You do have to get the entire palette, and this costs about $125. But if I were to compare the pricing with the Blitz Astral quads, which were released as their special shades, they retail for $61 for 4 shades. So that brings the price per shade to about $15.25, which is quite comparable with the Sydney Grace eyeshadows. But with these, I do see at least 3 shades on the eyelid. And the last brand of multi-chrome that I've tried are Karla Cosmetics here in the UK. Now, because I live in the UK, many of the brands such as Cleona or JD Glow are not easily available here, and I do have to pay customs for those. So I searched for what's available locally here in the UK, and I came across Karla Cosmetics, and I ended up buying 4 of these pigments. So individually, these would retail for $17.50 each, and you get 2 grams in each of these containers. But I got a set on their website, which was, I believe, gift set number 1, which had 4 different shades, and that came to £60 overall. So each shade is about £15. Now they do recommend their own mixing medium, which is called Fixed Portion, but I have tested this against other mixing mediums, and I have found that other mixing mediums work slightly better for me. So I do have a full video on that, which I will link right here if you're interested. The 4 shades that I picked up are Lullaby, which looks like this. I'll post the swatch on screen so you can see the different color shift. This is Night Terror. This is probably my least favorite of the lot, just because I can only see like 2 shades as a shift. All the other 3 shades I can see 3 to 4 shades depending on what lighting I am in. And then this is Daydream. This last one right here is Snooze. It's similar to the one by Pat McGrath Extraterrestrial, but it's deeper in tone. So the pinks are deeper, the greens are deeper, and so on. And these look absolutely stunning and are definitely my favorite multi-chromes to wear. In terms of formulation, I would say the Karla Cosmetics one is the closest in terms of the Pat McGrath multi-chrome texture. They're very finely milled and they're equally reflective on the eyes. They almost look satin in daylight, but once you have flashlight or indoor yellow lighting on the eyes, you can see little glimmer particles just dancing on the eyelids. It's very beautiful. On my eyelids today, I have the Karla Cosmetics shade in Lullaby. Now on camera, I think you can only see maybe green and a little bit of purple at the outer corner. I'm going to try come in closer where you can see a difference, and I'm going to move my face. There you go. You can see the purple, blue, and then the green shift right there. And once I add the flash from my camera, you can hopefully see the blue and the pink much better. Can you see the pink color there moving into that blue? So those are the two colors that I see if I am in yellow lighting or if I'm just away from the light source. So if I turn my face this way and if I were to have a mirror here, those are the colors that I see. And here, after application for a few hours, I'm just moving between a room with yellow lighting towards bright daylight in the other room. And you can really see the whole spectrum of the color shift in the shade Lullaby. Now let's get into the demo portion. So the first way you can use them is probably the most subtle way you can use a multi-chrome if you don't want it all over your eyelid. You can create a wing liner with it. So here I'm just mixing a little bit of the mixing medium with the loose pigment and taking it on a thin liner brush and just applying it close to my lashes. Now the thicker your band is going to be, the more reflective or the more multi-chrome the shade is going to look like. But this is what it looks like on my eyelids. Lullaby is such a pretty shade. The second method is similar to what I have on my eyelids today, that is to use it with other eyeshadows in the socket. So first I'm taking a neutral eyeshadow. This is by Karla Cosmetics called Gingerbread and applying it to my crease. And then also running it along my lower lash line. Then I'm taking the multi-chrome and applying it damp, mixing it with the mixing medium fixed portion and applying it all over my eyelid. And blending the edges towards the crease. And this is the completed look in daylight versus flash lighting. So what I forgot in the demo was, after applying the neutral crease shade, I generally prefer to go in with the dry multi-chrome pigment and apply it in my crease, so that acts like a bit of a transition and blends better instead of the wet formula of the multi-chrome. So you will see a harsh edge in the demo, but today, as you can see, when I have used the dry pigment, so I've just taken it literally on a brush like this, anything small will work for this, and I've just literally stamped on the same pigment but just in the dry format and just applied it to my crease. And this is the kind of blend you get with that. Another way you can use multi-chromes is by looking at what colors the multi-chrome shifts to and then using those in your crease and your outer V. So that kind of will look more cohesive with the shift. So first I'm going to add a neutral brown to my crease. This is Gingerbread by Color Drain. And then I'm using a matte green since Snooze looks green when looking straight ahead at the outer corner of my eye. So the shade I'm using is Evergreen by Sydney Grace. And I'm going to apply it to the outer V of my eye, crease, and also along my lower lash line. Then I'm taking Snooze Dry on a small blending brush, such as the My Kitco Pro 1.20 brush, and I'm going to apply this to my crease, and this will help with the blending in the next step. And lastly, I'm using the shade Snooze Wet with the Mehron mixing medium and applying it to my top and bottom eyelid. And then finishing off this look with some green eyeliner in my waterline and mascara. And this is the finished look. So generally with multi-chrome, the more surface area you cover it with, the more ability it has for creating the different shifts. So this next method, which is applying it as a graphic shape or a graphic liner, is probably one of my favorites, just because it covers a large area and you can get to see the shifts much better. So in this example, where I'm going to insert a picture right here, this is what I'd created for my Instagram page. Essentially, I've just taken, I believe the shade Snooze, if I'm not wrong, and I've applied it in a graphic shape, but left my lid bare, and then applied a little bit of gloss on the top eyelid. And you can see that it looks really beautiful, at least I think so. And in the demo version, I've just used one shade, just all over in a graphic shape. So I'm essentially applying the shade Snooze with the mixing medium and applying it in a graphic cat eye shape. And the brush I'm using is by Linda Hallberg and it's number 301. And you can see all three colors on the eyelid in daylight, and also the fourth color being more prominent under flashlight. And lastly, you can use multiple multi-chromes, if that makes sense. So more than one. So I'm just working on top of what I already have with the eyeliner. So just adding a second eyeliner, running it along my bottom lash line with a different color. So that way you can see more of the multi-chromes. This is not something I do generally, but in case you want to get more use out of your multi-chromes, you can also use more than one. So here's one way where you can use two different shades as eyeliner, one on your top and one on the bottom lash line. And the other way is just building up on what we have already on the eyelid. So just adding a line on the bottom lash line, meeting it with the graphic shape we already have, and then also creating like a halo eye in the center of the eyelid. Again, just using different colors to show different tones in the multi-chromes. And this is how the multi-chromes dance under flash lighting. Now for seeing the true effects of a multi-chrome, I would suggest picking up a shade which has quite a drastic color change. So for example, choose Snooze, which goes all the way from a pink, a gold, to a green shade, instead of say Night Terror, which just goes from a warm tone purple to a cool tone purple. So that's not much of a shift, it's within the same color family. So if you want to see a shift on the eyelid, I would go with something like this, which has a drastic change in color compared to this one, which has shift within similar colors. And on the other hand, if you want something more subtle, you can definitely go for something like Night Terror instead of Snooze. Another tip with multi-chromes is to not blend it out too much. So just pat even if you're trying to blend in the crease, because then otherwise most of them have a blackened base and that tends to show through, and that can be problematic if you don't blend it well. Maybe try it once or twice on a day that you are at home and just play around with the texture. It's different from an eyeshadow. So there is a little bit of learning curve. You do not want to blend it out too much unless you want the black gray smokiness all around the multi-chrome. Another way you can get some use from your multi-chrome is to use it as lipstick. It's something I personally don't prefer, just because even though I've tried to use the same shade on my eyes and my lips, they look completely different and I don't see the shift much on my lips. So for that reason, I would personally not use on the lips, but that's another way people use these pigments. And as promised, here's swatches of all three brands. First up is Chameleon Air by Sydney Grace. Next is Pure Guard by Sydney Grace. Then we have Sextraterrestrial by Pat McGrath. And then the four multi-chrome eyeshadows by Karla Cosmetics. So first we have Daydream, then Snooze, then Lullaby, and then lastly Night Terror. And here's a clip of how I use the loose pigments by Karla Cosmetics with their fixed portion. And in case I'm using a liquid mixing medium, I essentially just replace the gel with a drop of the mixing medium. The rest of the process stays the same. So that's really it for this video. I hope these tips were useful for you guys, and if you enjoyed it, definitely give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my channel. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!